quick introductions. I'm Tina Maddox, the assistant principal.
Paula Mason, parent liaison.
I am Miss Cybert, second grade teacher.
I am Tashika Clanton, the literacy coach. And last but not least, I am Ms. Bramwell, the numeracy coach.
All right, everyone, today we're just here as a quick check-in, just to see how things are going in the building. We're almost 2 months into the school year. And we just want to talk about effective instruction. What does that look like in our building? What's going on?
So for me, as a coach, effective instruction is basically the teachers knowing their content well, and also to knowing best practices and strategies to assist their students.
And me as a assistant principal, just going into the classrooms and knowing what effective instruction looks like and how that delivery of the instruction, it engages the students. I do see a lot of engagement in the classroom, but I also see a lot of room for improvement in our building. Sometimes I've walked into the classroom and I see students with their heads down because it looks like they're asleep. So I'm thinking maybe they just didn't get a good night's rest. But then when I go in and I listen to the instructional delivery, to be honest, it puts me to sleep. So now I'm trying to connect those dots. Is it because you didn't get rest, or is it because your teacher is not effectively delivering their instruction in an engaging way?
That makes sense.
And as the teacher, I feel that you have to come prepared ahead of time with what you're going to be teaching, get that prep done so that you're not shuffling around, because when you have that downtime, that allows the student to get bored and do some other things.
So have you seen it from both sides? Like
I have seen it from both sides. When you're not prepared compared to, because sometimes we do have our off days.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna be off too, so they kind of feed off of your energy as well. But the calendar reminders have also been working for me. Just remind me what should be turned in, what should small would be turned in. That's expected of us. So we know what we should be doing. Our whole lesson plans have to be turned in ahead of time. So that helps keep me prepared. Wednesdays I do my math small group. Thursdays I work on my written small group. On Friday, get everything together, so I'm ready Monday morning.
You gotta have a plan in place. There you
You
go.
have a plan?
Love that plan.
Oh, yeah. I think that plan definitely gonna work for you, Ms. Simon. And then it just, I can tell that some people do plan ahead, and you can tell when people plan ahead, but you can also tell when people don't plan ahead. And it's almost like, I walked into the classroom, thinking, the lesson is like 45 minutes in, so you got a good rhythm, you should be good. But it's still like you're still trying to figure out what to do. 45 minutes in, you should be more than comfortable within your lesson. But I've seen that. So again, I know there's some things that we discuss at the coaches and the admin team, and just some things that we, know we need to support more in with some of the teachers. And then, like we just said, that's not working. The engaging part's not working because people are not putting the work in on the front end. So that's definitely one of the reasons why. And then I also noticed that teachers in our building tend to be a little bit more stressed than what I know I was in the classroom. So I don't know if that's because we have these new standards, the new expectations. So what do you all think?
I think that's why collab is important. So any of those misconceptions, if you are stressed about something, you have that time to talk with your teammate. You have that time to go through instructional practices to make sure that you understand that content, before you're teaching it.
Most definitely. Because if you don't, again, like you just said, that is very stressful. I just can't even imagine coming into a classroom and not being fully prepared for the day. I don't even know what that would even look like. Well, for me, I've seen what it looked like for others, but I'm just saying, and I'm not saying I was perfect when I was in the classroom, but I understood the things that we had to do in order to prepare these engaging lessons, in order to make sure our day flows. Because if you're not prepared, it seems like your just whole day is just off.
Yes.
And I think from, when I go in, I see that teachers are lacking intentionality. They're not being intentional about. I think that, because there are a lot of different demands that are on them right now, and a lot of changes that have been made, whether they be the new standards or new strategies, new ways of doing things that they may have done. I think that, they just are not intentional.
Kind of just going through the
Just kind
motions,
of going
yeah.
their compliance.
Mhm.
And so now
Take
we're
off.
moving
Mhm.
from compliance to action. Or from compliance to purpose. That's what we need to be doing, but a lot of people aren't there because they're stuck, their mindset is fixed
Mhm.
on, I don't really wanna do it that way, or I think my way would work better. And so I feel like because of that, that's what we're not getting the most out of some of our teachers.
But do you think that it's because they're stressed already, or just be honest, do you think that it might be a little mental illnesses going on that we don't fully know? Or is it just that, hey, you just did not prepare and that prepared or whatever? Because I do think
It's some of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think different people might be a little bit of more of this than, and other people might be a little less,
Mhm.
but
I do know it's an uptick of anxiety.
Mhm.
In teachers, children, and I even think about, you guys sometimes, with anxiety and different things, because the demands are much harder
Yeah.
on you all, because you're not just responsible for a classroom or, one group of children, but us all, the teachers, the students, custodial staff, everybody. So I do think that there is an uptick of anxiety, but I think that we really do a good job. The leadership in our building do a good job of being compassionate, being thoughtful, trying to always be ahead of, one step ahead. We try to send out as many reminders, but then we also talk when we have our meetings about, hand holding and how that does hurt people in the long run, because if I don't get a reminder, I won't do.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how do we continue to build efficacy with teachers and make them proud of who they are in capacity when we're always spoon feeding them or telling them? So it's just one of those things where, I think we do a really good job with that. I think, as a school, from our leadership team and just the different organizations that we have, we do a good job on trying to have moments where we just allow our teachers to breathe.
That balance.
We get them trees. We're not, knock on the door and say, oh, prize patrol. Something for them just to make them smile. So I do think, although there is an uptick of anxiety, I do think that we're going in the right direction on making people calm. Yeah.
And I know you said that about the hand holding, when you're in your meetings, they mention that, but I just think that some people need a little bit more their hand to be held a little bit longer than others. Because of whatever they might be going through. I know, through the district, they do have the employee assistance program, and I know as an administrator, have had to refer people out to that. And, because you just never know what people are going through, and then with the students. And I'm always, and I know I try to be very mindful of the fact that all kids are not going home the same way our kids.
Right.
Have home, to a happy home, to a home with food and different things like that. So we do have the Spark program for those students. And then we have, like you mentioned earlier, the CAB program, where we talk about that, a caring adult in the building. Because think about it, some kids don't have a caring adult at home. And we're the only adults that they feel like care.
Right.
And then that's why we got to be mindful of the way we talk.
Absolutely.
Too. I know I'm stern, but I feel like, my sternness come from a good place. I know it comes from a good place.
Yeah, from your heart.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
It does, because I know you eventually have to get out into that world, and I want you to be successful. Even though I didn't birth you, even though you're not mine, but I feel like you are, all 700 and something. So yeah,
But they can feel it when they know it's coming from,
Mhm.
it's genuine.
Yeah.
And also they gonna still love you if it's,
Oh, yeah,
if they
well,
feel, you
absolutely.
know, they feel, they still afterwards.
They'll love on
Yeah,
you,
yes,
they'll
yeah.
come back tomorrow, good morning.
Yeah. It's that-
So you know, you're doing the right work, you know, it's hard work, but you're still doing the right work.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it's important for us to, show them and have expectations for them. Cause like you said, they may not come from a house that's, they had food, they may come from a home with food insecurity, and they may come from a home where the parents, don't get along or whatever.
Mhm.
But they also may come from a home where education is not valued or
Yeah.
not promoted.
Yeah.
And so we have to be that one to pour into them,
Yeah.
to encourage them to utilize this gift that they have, their brain, to be learners and lifelong learners. So I think we have to do a great job at making sure our children know that we care about them as little people,
Yeah.
but we, the
Absolutely, yeah.
bigger goal,
Right.
and that's going to be able to grow up and take care of themselves.
And I think like, what was that, Tuesday, we looked at math scores and we went around and we incentivized those students. Or whatever scores that they have, it was ELA and their math, the district assessment. The students that did well on their assessment, we let them know, even though we're not their teachers, we let them know that we care about your education.
Mhm.
And so a lot of them, you saw where they, well, me, like they lit up, so.
Mhm.
Again, just little pockets of.
Recognition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
They do feed off of that,
small victories.
just small
Yeah,
victory,
small
yeah.
victories.
Mhm. That's why I also was thinking that engagement part is definitely key too in the
Oh, yeah.
classroom.
Mhm.
Kids being engaged. And then, but one thing about that engagement, I do know that the teacher has to be engaged.
Yes.
Because if I walk in and like, oh, goodness, I got.
And you have everything,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, kids'
even
attention
though-
span,
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah,
You
even
teach
though
them like math?
when I was,
You think on math, yeah.
yeah, because math, I'm like, okay, I can teach math. I feel like I can teach math, and I think I do a pretty decent job at it, but it was never my subject that I would say that I was in love with. I always loved ELA, reading, that was it, and
Right.
social studies.
Mhm.
But I always try to be mindful in the way I was delivering math because I knew how I felt about it.
Uh-huh.
And then that spills over to the students, so in order for them to
Absolutely.
be engaged, so I try to find like different types of things to bring it, strategies
Right.
to make sure they were engaged. And I do see a lot of that in the building as well. I do hear a lot of my ELA teachers saying, hey, they don't like math, but when I go into the classroom, they try to make it more engaging for the students. And I do think they're trying to make it engaging for themselves.
Yeah.
So they can like it.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great thing, but I do see the engagement piece of it,
That's
we
it.
need to, that step better.
But when you say that, it makes me think about how sometimes, because we don't like something, we think that we don't have to do it, or that we shouldn't have to do it because we don't like it. And I like that. I think that we should always challenge people to learn more about other things outside of just what they like. Because like, I feel like they think that they always know better for themselves, but not all the time. And I think that, we should always just lead with data. What does this data say? Does the data indicate that this strategy works? Does the data indicate that this works?
Yeah.
Or do you just like doing this?
There
Because
you
if the
go.
data doesn't align with it, you don't have that autonomy. And I just remember reading somewhere, I think it was John Handy that said that if your data does not line up with your autonomy, then the autonomy needs to be gone in this particular way. Because if you don't get autonomy, you have to do what you're told. Now, if you're flying high with your data,
Exactly.
then you can take risks.
Exactly.
And then the
Because-
results,
Yeah.
volume.
But I'm still puzzled and I don't get how when I put the data in front of you, you still don't believe it.
Which is like awareness,
Yeah.
self-awareness.
And that's why we have the
The
scribble.
percentage.
But it's somebody else's fault. So yes, the numbers are there, but they're ESOL, they're EIP, they don't come to
Yeah.
school, they don't wanna learn, all these other things
So
to
therefore,
deflect. So those are the numbers, 5 is 5, but that's not really my 5.
Cause there's so many other people.
Or it's my 5 because
involved.
of.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's so many
that's
other
why.
people that have to do with
Yeah.
my
Well, they
five,
don't
so
come to
we don't have
school, that's
ownership.
why it's that, yep.
But it's funny, we wanna blame the team,
Mm-hmm.
but then sometimes we don't wanna act as a team. So for example, say for example, if I have, I'm a teacher and I have all these gifted scholars in my classroom, and I noticed there's a gifted student that's in another classroom, and the kids in that classroom may not be doing exact, things that are rigorous enough to keep that child engaged. You'll know that, but when you go down there and say, hey, Miss So-and-so, I want to invite such and such down to my class for math because I feel like he'll benefit from the rigor that's going on in this class, because we don't want him to lie dormant down in that class. And it's nothing against that teacher, you get the students you get.
Right.
But the teamwork
Engagement, yeah,
of
everything.
bringing everybody, like we're all a team, but it's funny how when it's time to pass out blame, we
Yes.
wanna blame a team,
Mhm.
but we always don't act as a team.
So bouncing off of that, I think having our data room is working.
Oh,
So you can
yeah.
see it
Yes.
live. And so when we start putting up the unit assessments, also, hey, how did you get that 80% of your class passing?
Yes.
Well, you had 100%. Oh, well, I only had 30%. So now conversation, and hopefully we'll move with the change in the mindset. And your mindset will change and you'll see, okay, maybe I do need to hold myself accountable.
Right.
Modeling those lessons in collab.
Yeah.
That's gonna kind of let you also be aware, because your peers are like, wait, I didn't understand how you explained that. So
Yes.
maybe that'll trigger in your head if these adults don't understand. It's a possibility that the kids don't
Exactly.
understand.
And see, that
At some point, that connection.
that was something that I'm glad you mentioned that, Ms. Burnwell, because I was reading this article. It was entitled "Moving from Compliance to Agency: What Teachers Need to Make Professional Learning Work." And something in this article that I disagree with. Y'all help me. If you agree with it and let me know why. It says that give teachers choices regarding their professional learning, including who they want to work with and where they focus their learning.
Mhm.
For our building, the staff that we're working with, I don't believe this to be true. Because sometimes, like we talked about earlier, when we discuss their data, they don't agree with it, even though the numbers say only 20% of your students pass that unit assessment. It's the county's fault. It's the student who doesn't like to take tests fault, but it's never a reflection on how could I have taught that lesson differently so that they can get it. So I don't think that if they don't do a self-reflection, I don't think how can you determine which professional development is best for you?
I think there has to be a piece with that. I feel like that statement could work, but I think it has to have a self-reflection piece to it. It has to be a follow-up. So here is the option for you to have the choice regarding your professional learning. But if you feel like you want to choose, what evidence do you have that you are making the sound choices that you need to make? What have you done? What does your data look like to say, I can choose whether or not I should go to the math PD when your scores aren't well, but are your scores well? So you can determine whether or not I should go to the ELA. Like with us having new standards, I don't think you should have a choice. When it's a new standard, I don't think you should have a choice. When it's a new program, I don't think you should have a choice. As time goes on and you have shown yourself, I think that statement could make sense.
But not for everybody.
Not for everybody. You have to earn that.
And then, I'm thinking about part of it that you said, you get to choose who you work with. So, one, that's not reality, that's not life.
Yeah.
And so, you don't get to choose who you work with, but even to counter that, I would just encourage people to know that you working with the same people all the time, your exposure and is limited. And so you may be really missing out on working with someone that is dynamic, but you're gonna miss out on that because you don't want to work.
Cause you're gonna choose those
You're
same
gonna
people.
do that.
Yeah,
Yes,
time.
and we'll end up with like a cliquish mindset or whatever versus, really working with people or trusting, but that does go back to a trust walk. So like teachers need to be able to trust their administrators, that their administrators are putting them in good positions, that they see something in their potential partner or team that they feel like is gonna make everything better. So it's a trust walk, and just like the administrators need to feel like the people that they put in place are doing the right thing, are making good choices. But I do disagree with that as well. You shouldn't get to necessarily choose who you get to work with.
Well, it's kind of like with the kids, you want to stretch them so that they can grow and learn, and we need to do the same for ourselves as adults. So I can't stay in my comfort zone
Yeah.
because.
Cause I'm always gonna choose.
Right, I'm
what's
saying,
comfortable.
right,
Yeah.
and then, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Most definitely.
I don't wanna
Yeah.
grow.
What do you think, Miss Cyber? Because you've been still in the classroom,
Well-
and I know that classroom teachers, I don't wanna do that. You know, I don't have time to do that, or we get it. Okay, but what do you think about?
So for me, I need to be made uncomfortable because I'm one of those that is comfortable.
Mhm.
And so sometimes in order for me to grow or to really show what I have, because sometimes I self-doubt myself. So I think the swivel is gonna help so I can self-reflect, but I do disagree. Yes, we have that mindset. I don't want to go there or what have you. For me, writing is not my strong point. So when we had a writing, I think PD or we spoke, I was actually excited to go because I said I really needed help versus being scared, like, nope, I want to go to math because math is my favorite. So, but that's not everybody's feeling. But I agree, we need to have some type of support to back up. Okay, well, I want to go to math. Well, my reading and my writing better be strong if I'm allowed to go to the subject that I enjoy. I do agree with that.
I kind of think that if you are given a choice, kind of like when you do kids, don't let them just say whatever. Do you want Apple Jacks cereal or do you want Kellogg's Frosted Flakes?
'Cause you're eating
Giving
cereal.
a right, you're eating
Oh, okay.
you're eating cereal.
Yeah.
So you're going to a PD. So are you going to go to the math PD about fractions or the math PD about standard algorithm? You're gonna go
To the math piece.
Oh,
right,
okay.
but I'm still giving
I
you a
do like that.
choice,
Yeah.
the A or the B.
Yeah.
You might even have a C, but giving them the choice, and then that way you can. It's a little bit more ownership. Oh,
Yeah.
I picked that, and usually it works with children. I mean, I could see it working with adults too.
I like that, and that ties along with the new initiative that we're about to engage in, and that is the equity of voice. So it's giving people the opportunity to be heard, to feel like they're heard, to feel like what they think and what they choose to say is valuable and important. So I do think that with that voice and choice, you have to basically put you in this box. You still have a choice, but the choice is gonna be something that's good for you.
Right.
Yes,
You can't, it's not gonna be.
But you had a say in it, yeah.
Yeah, saying it, but
Pizza.
I can't give you 100%.
And there's,
Right,
there's
exactly.
pizza, cheese, and there's pepperoni, but we eating pizza.
we're eating
Yeah.
pizza.
So
There you
which
go.
one do you want?
Mhm.
And it's like almost like one of those things where you ask people, oh, what's your favorite color? And then you say, but you have to choose out of these
So-
colors.
so, yeah.
And it's like, but I don't like really, well, which one of those out
Oh,
of
that's
those?
right.
Because
Those are your
Yeah,
choices.
yeah.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like that mindset.
I like that though, because you're actually giving the person input, right?
Mhm.
I'm giving
Yeah.
you input,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not giving you 100%
What
what
they
want.
want.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. But I'm also giving you input into things that you need. You know,
Like guidance.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
an equity of voice is equitable. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a say, but it's gonna be very streamlined.
There you go.
And I like that too.
I do too. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. This has been a very productive meeting. I really enjoyed it. And we'll come back to the table another day.
Okay.
Thank
Alrighty,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Matt.